Clap your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. And I'm Dante, y'all, and this is heDONizm, and these are the breaks. Welcome back, guys. It's episode 6, and for those of you who did not know, I'm Dante. I also go by the name Mecca Don, the Don Mecca. Some may also call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. I'm also known in the streets as Coach. I'm also known in the streets as Ref. But do me a favor, just don't call me with drama. You guys know what it is. We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. And just in case, I'll be careful with my words, but just in case I drop a noun, an adjective, an expletive even, don't hold me to it. You all know what it is. Say it with me. I'm just here to pod. In true heDONizm fashion, I want to start off with gratitude, as I always do. And what am I grateful for? Right off the top, right off the bat, let me write this check to you guys in the big form of thank you. Thank you guys, because you guys are helping me grow as a podcaster. You guys are helping me grow as an individual. You know, it takes courage to do this, right? I don't care. I've touched many stages, but there's something about those butterflies that kicks in before it's ready, set, lights, camera, action. You know, it's something special about getting in front of a camera where there's no audience, or maybe there is. You guys wouldn't know unless I turn the cameras around. But nonetheless, whether it's 1 or 1,000, whether it's 1,000 or 1 million, whether it's 1 million or 100 million, I still value those that take your time out of your busy days to come and witness the heDONizm experience. So I'm thankful for you guys. You guys are helping me grow. And other opportunities are coming out of this because of who? Because of you. Time will tell, but heDONizm is gaining momentum, and I'm so grateful to you guys for that. But also, in giving gratitude, I want to also express that I'm grateful for the spirit of sports. Why? Because it's bringing communities together, from a youth level to a high school or prep level on a national level, but also college level. I mean, have you looked at a game lately? Have you looked in the audience and witnessed how many people are actually coming out to root on their team? It's just a beautiful thing. Now, there are some that experience joy. There are some that experience pain, and there are some that experience the agony and defeat, but nonetheless, they are doing it in a physical and outside presence of those that you may know, those that you may not know, but more importantly, it brings communities together. So I'm honing into football, but this is something that some of us have lived, whether you was a guardian to a child, or whether you actually played a sport, or for those of you who actually participated in football, you know what it is. We've lived this thing, right? We know about the unsung stories. We know about the untold stories about what this game brings. But I'm grateful also for some of the documentaries that gives us a chance to go to Nebraska, that gives us a chance to go Midwest, West, or even the East Coast, or down South, or somewhere where we may not have had a chance to have intel or insight to some of these stories and these documentaries, these 30 for 30, some of these streaming specials are bringing out these lovely stories. I mean, have you ever sat back and watched a docu-pic, or even a docu-story or a series that entails an athlete or the backstory of an athlete, and it may have brought you to tears, or even maybe given you deep thought on life behind the athlete? I mean, it's just amazing. So I'm grateful for that, because we're upon that season. And let me just pause here and just drive a short narrative in gratitude, right? I'm grateful for what Coach Prime is setting in Colorado. This is a man that went from being a sports analyst, well, he was a player, right? He was a player athlete. He was an athlete, right? He played in a couple of sports that we know very well. No need to go down that path because I'll be showing favoritism. So let me just keep that moving, right? But he went from a sports analyst to then his give back, his philanthropy as a coach. And then he went to Jackson State, JSU. Shout out to the SIP. He went out to He went to Jackson State, and then for some odd reason renegotiated his path, his career path, and received an opportunity that most of us would have or have not accepted. Nonetheless, Coach Prime went out to Colorado, right? He went out to the Buffs. And they were sliding Coach to maybe fall on his face, but some said how he's going to fly. He's going to fly high, right? He's going to pass this thing with flying colors. But Coach Prime has met the test. His game one, he was the underdog, won flying colors. Game two, week two, Coach Prime went to the test along with the team, and they took the field and got another dub. Shout out to you, Coach Prime. But let me ask you guys this. I just want to flip it for a second just to get, I want to spark the noodle. I want to see what you guys are actually thinking about this situation, right? There was a wave of where former athletes or former players that were in the NFL were going to HBCUs and turning it out. And oh, how we had the pom-poms in the air and we were cheering for these coaches. But let's put it on Prime for a second, okay? What if he was losing? Would y'all kill him? Would y'all cancel him out? Now, I gave you my honesty last week. I said, y'all know what this is, right? It's daddy ball. It's daddy ball. You'll always make time for the things you love. You'll make time for it. Could this be daddy ball at an all-time high where we can actually see it in fruition right now and actually see it in its existence? Or is this truly a man who's about his career goals and his trajectory as a coach? Or is this strictly about him following his son and his son being coachable by dad? Nonetheless, I just want to spark the noodle. But let me throw it back to you guys, right? Comment down below. You guys know I ask you this all the time. Do 4 things for me, right? I want you to like. I want you to subscribe. And I also want you to comment down below. But there's another thing that I added to this. Don't be a hater. Some of you guys are out there witnessing, and speaking of hating, right? If Deion was losing, what if I was considering this a loss? Are y'all happy to see me fall? To my haters out there, are you glad that I don't have 1 million subscribers? Are you glad that I'm not on a major platform and YouTube is my start? Well, let me tell you something. I'm already winning, because one time, this was, in the words of Biggie, it was all a dream. In the words of the late, great Notorious, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine with Salt, Pepper, and Heavy D up in the limousine. Yes, all of this was a dream. And guess what? There was also supposed to be, for my haters who don't know, there was also supposed to be someone by my side that's no longer here. So guess what? In true spirit of my brother Nas, don't die with dreams inside. I'm living them right now. So to all my haters out there, you're wasting your time. I'm already winning. Don't worry about the numbers. Some people are all about that when it comes to metrics and analytics. But guess what? Whether it's 1 or 1,000, I'm rocking and I'm going hard. I'm putting my pedal to the metal. But I'll throw it back on Prime for a second. If he lost game 1 and if he lost game 2, would you guys kill him? Would you cancel him? And keeping with gratitude, let me also shout out a large group of individuals. And no, it's not Veterans Day, but let me just pause right here on my platform and say thank you to all the veterans out there. More particularly, let me just shout out the Armed Forces Network, AFN. I received some nods from a couple of service members and some people that served with me. They have either hit retirement, they've got their honorable discharge. There's some out there that got a bad chicken dinner. For those that know, you do know. But some of those that did serve have their kids or even their grandkids serving at this point. So let me just pause right here in this platform and say thank you to all of our veterans out there that are serving. And also for those of you who are trying to put those nods in there for me for the Armed Forces Network, thank you guys so much. There was a nod for heDONizm platform to be included in the AFN because I did some work with the Navy Marine Corps News back in the day, but now they got AFN, which hits Inconus and Oconus, for those that know. So, well, time will tell. Time will tell what that goes out to. But in keeping with the veteran shout out, let me be a little selfish here and just shout out my son, my baby boy, Savi, my Bino. Man, thank you. He's up in Boston right now, and he's listening as we speak right now, because he said, Dad, I don't know where you're going with this, but when I watched the 0 episode, I was locked in. So, son, thank you. And thank you also for being an honest critic, and thank you for also reverse engineering this thing with me and just speaking some things into existence. So, my boy, it is what it is, and I'm not afraid to say this, but Daddy loves you, and he also loves your sibs, the twin sibs, your broken famous college two live stews. Yeah, I love them too. I love you guys, so thank you so much for the support, guys. And speaking about veterans, let me drop something on you guys, right? When I try to bring tyology into what this thing is today, this thing called hip hop, in the words of Erykah Badu, is bigger than religion, hip hop, right? And that song was The Healer. You guys go out and check that out. It's so dope. But let me talk to you guys about, let's take it to some history that has been laid, but also to give you dreamers something to think about, right? There's a couple of career paths for people once they graduate from high school. They go on to higher sources of learning, but some do set themselves up for college by way of military, me being one of those. But let me just speak to how hip-hop ties into the military today. Buckle up. You guys are going to love, and not like, you guys are going to love what I'm about to share with you. But let me just shout out right now, for the first time in U.S. Armed Forces history, the United States Army Band has added hip-hop to its format. I'll say that again. The U.S. Army Band has added hip-hop to its format. More specifically, when it comes to hip-hop, they've added rap. Yes, the Army Band has added rap as a career field in the armed forces. Did you catch that? Rap into the U.S. Army Band as a career path. No, we're not talking about a temporary thing or a special guest featuring an MC. No, they've added hip hop to the U.S. Army Band, more specifically rap, right? Now, let me just be clear. The Army has well over 200 plus career paths, including musicians. And they've gone, boy, and added rap now to the career path. But I love it. Sorry about my terrible accent, guys. I just love the Jamaican tone. I just love the island, the Caribbean tone, but I can't hit it like you guys. But my apologies. I totally jacked that up. But they've gone and added rap to that career field path. So for those of you who out there were dreaming, I've once thought about joining the armed services, you youth out there, and for some of you that have kids that may be contemplating, or even grandkids that you're nurturing, to say that, hey, you got to make a choice. Let's think about this as an option, not the only alternative for you to choose, but an option, right? I want to talk about two individuals, right? Staff Sergeants Lamar Riddick and Staff Sergeant Nicholas Feimster, right? These two guys went through a rigorous process, right? Now, out of all of this field, I can't explain to you how they ideated and came up with the logic of bringing hip hop into the Army Band. Well, this is the 50th celebration of hip hop. And maybe they thought that, hey, this would work, but this was actually before the 50th birthday of hip hop. They actually said, hey, this is something we're going to implement as a career path in the United States Army Band. So shout out. I just love this idea and concept that they've instituted. But the staff sergeants went through a rigorous process of becoming an MC in the U.S. Army Band. So with that being said, they only had one requisition open for this position, and it came down to these two. And they said, you know what? This is too tough for us to make a decision. So after further deliberation, hey, guys, we're going to bring you both on. So shout out again to Staff Sergeant Lamar Riddick and Nicholas Feimster. And you guys, please go out and Google those individuals, share it on your platforms, on your socials, but also let people know that times have changed and they're implementing hip hop into the U.S. Armed Services. These guys are getting paid to do this. Now, in the military, for those of you that don't know, you have a primary and you also have a collateral duty. So they are soldiers at the end of the day. But their primary duty are to be MCs in the U.S. Army band. And now the band performs for the president. The band performs foreign and domestic. They do a lot of events, but now they have added rap. And I'm just so in this 50th anniversary of hip hop. When we think about the birth, when we think about the Cool Hercs, when we think about the Funky Four, when we think about some of the philosophers, your KRS-Ones, your LL Cool J's, your Kumo D's, and some of your, I don't know why I mentioned him in that text, just because he was a dope MC. He was a battle MC back in the day, but not too much on Kumo. But when you think about your pioneers of hip hop back in the 60s as a thought, but birth in the 70s, going to the 80s, the 90s, the golden era, the new millennium, and you think about where rap and where hip hop is today, to think that it has integrated in the United States Army band is just fantastic. Now, I'm going to be a little selfish here, and I'm going to insert myself into this narrative, right? And I want to be clear with this narrative. Why? Because I want to give you guys a little context on old Mechadon here, right? So we got these guys that have been labeled or deemed as the first MCs to be in the armed forces as a career path. But I'm inserting myself because when I was in the United States Navy, I fought tooth and nail. We were about to go on a deployment, and I'm not allowed to say the location where we deployed, but I'll just say somewhere out in the Mediterranean, right? I fought tooth and nail before we deployed to bring my 2 turntables, my mixer, and a couple of microphones out there, because I've been on deployments before, and I noticed that individuals were bringing like guitars. I noticed that individuals were bringing brass instruments. I noticed that they were bringing percussions on board, and I'm like, you know what? We're gonna be out here for a while, right? I'm bringing my tables. At some point, in some way, there will be a need for me to do that, and there's a rigorous check for you to bring on board electronics, period, let alone me bringing on 2 turntables and a microphone. But I did it, guys, and I on board the USS John F. Kennedy, I was able to bring my turntables on board. But not only that, guys, we threw a talent show. I hosted it. I DJ'd it. I did a mashup with my man Jason Barney. I remember you, my man. He had his guitar out, and we did a mashup with him doing some dope riffs. He did like a light rock set and had me to come in and do a little scratching, mixing, and blending on that track, and we killed it. I mean, it solidified what it is to take hip hop everywhere. And I've traveled the world, guys, but that was one of my highlights when it comes to this thing called hip hop and how it grows and how it goes everywhere. But what am I saying without saying it, guys? Hip hop is everywhere and it is growing. So shout out to you, Army, and to the staff sergeants, represent us well. You have a vital role in this movement, guys. I've seen you out there. I've seen some of the work you guys done. You have bars, you have creativity. We do know that there are formats and guidelines to follow when it comes to the Uniform Code of Military Justice and some of your regulations for your career path. But you guys are actually dropping bars. You guys are doing your metaphors, your similes, your double entendres, and all of those good things. And I just want to take a bow to you guys and also salute you. I envy this because I was all things hip hop, right? There was nothing else that I wanted to do as an adolescent going into to be a young man. There was nothing else I wanted to do but hip hop. So I envy the fact that you guys are the first. I just wish that I had been on that wave or that path to knock on doors, go all the way up to the chief operator of your branch of service and go, you know what, this will be a good idea. Now I had that luxury where I worked. I'll get into that another day, but I had that luxury to provoke and ideate and throw things over the wall to see if they stuck with some of the individuals that I worked with and that I worked for. However, you guys did it. I don't know what it took. I'm going to do a little bit more deep diving. I challenge you guys out there as my listeners to do the same thing. But this is absolutely hot sauce to me. This is absolutely fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. I can use every word in the book to describe my feelings. Excuse me. But to describe my feelings on this topic and how proud I am of you young men out there who are making waves, knocking down doors, right? Knocking the ceiling off to say that the sky is the limit to this thing. But I'm super duper proud of you guys. Keep going, and we'll keep watching you guys. In the spirit of music and DJing, right? I want to interact with you guys for a second. And for those of you who are listening to me via Spotify, or for those of you that are viewing me on YouTube, thank you again for joining. But I want to put the hot seat on you guys today, right? I'm going to put it in your seat. Let me give you some context first, and I have a $1 million question for you guys. Now, this is hip hop related, but it's also music related. I'll get to why it's hip hop, but you'll see why it's music related. And you may feel a little tight because I want to put this in your court so you guys can be in a hot seat. I want you to feel the heat. But let's get into it, right? So let me just first of all throw a warning out there, because the context that I'm giving is serious. All right. It's subjective, but it's also factual. Okay. Some of the information I'm giving, and I'll issue a trigger warning here to anyone out there who's experienced any of the foolishness that I'm about to mention. But let's just get into it. Robert Sylvester Kelly, a.k.a. the Pied Piper, a.k.a. Kells, for those in the hip-hop community. All right, I got your attention now, right? This is kind of important when it comes to party rocking, right? Let's keep it in the context of party rocking. And just a little background of why this is subjective. I've issued trigger warnings and also serious at the same time, because there was a 6-part docuseries that was released, and I can't remember when it was dropped. I want to say it was during COVID, or before COVID, or during that time, right? When we were binge watching like crazy. But this docuseries came out called Surviving R. Kelly. It was detailing sexual abuse, misconduct allegations. This man was convicted of enticing minors. These things are not to be played with, right? But I want to put you guys in a hot seat for a second, because most platforms, including DJ pools, streaming plats, have stopped short of removing his music, and in years since his conviction, fans have continued to listen to it. In 2017, he averaged about 5.4 million weekly streams, and in 2021, 6.4 million after he was found guilty. So it's almost like those who didn't know who Kells were or was said, let me go and check him out. And for those who probably never heard of the man, or only knew of some of his prolific songs, if you will, some of his Billboard-based songs, they said, I want to go see what else he got out there. The streets are talking. You guys know how Twitter talks, right? So I'm sure he was trending after the docuseries, and most people wanted to know. But other than that, people was like, well, let me go cop this, because I know it won't be long before we lose this thing. But anyway, Spotify and YouTube, they scrubbed or either shut down 2 of R. Kelly's accounts, but it's still available on YouTube Music. Just wanted to put it out there to give you guys a complex or a hot seat to be in, if you will. And I want to go through some of his catalog, but not all of it, because I don't want you guys to think I'm glorifying or polishing this man at this point. I'm not running bail for R. Kelly. You know, shame on you, sir. Shame on you for the dodo stuff that you've done, right? Have several seats. You know better. You know better, and you should have did better. But again, in context of this, guys, I'm putting it on you. I'm putting it on you. I'm taking it off of me, and I'm putting it on you. But I just want to name a few of his songs just so you guys can know or remember some of the body of work. I Believe I Can Fly. Remember that? The kids were singing that in school. And some of you guys were probably singing it in your youth choirs at church. Some of your PTA meetings or some of your school meetings. Your kids were sitting up singing, I Believe I Can Fly. Some of you probably went even far enough to have an angel or someone hoisted or or pinned up from the ceiling flying around as the kids sung the song and did all kind of interpretational dance. I'm being silly, but at the same time, I'm putting you guys back in the place where it was safe to assume that this was a hit and this song was inspiring to little kids. I Believe I Can Fly. Another song, Happy People from the You Save Me. The whole album, not just Happy People, but the whole album, right? The Chocolate Factory album, minus one or two cuts. But the whole album, the Chocolate Factory album, y'all remember the yellow joint with the bow around it like a gift? It was almost an album you can listen to forwards, backwards, repeat, on a road trip, come home, put it in the deck, play it again. It was one of them. It was one of them. Chocolate Factory. Step in the Name of Love. Backyard Party. A backyard party. I can't sing like Kels, but that was a slap. For real, you dig. And the last one, and I'm going to get out of here because there's a lot to mention, but I'm trying to put notable Billboard unified hits that this man made. Last one, and I'm going to leave it alone. 12 Nights of Christmas. The album. The whole album. So I understand that what I'm putting you guys in a hot seat for is not a one-size-fit-all question. It may not be a one-size-fit-all answer for you, but I do have to ask. You with me? Come in a little closer. Turn your volume up. Here's my question to you guys. You guys are the DJ. Are you playing R. Kelly? Are you putting him in your rotation? I'm not saying you're on a radio station. Let me be more specific for those of you who don't understand some of the categories of a DJ. You are a celebrity DJ. Are you putting R. Kelly in your rotation? All right, let me put you in another category. You are a mobile disc jockey. That means that you have been contracted as an independent contractor to go to a gig or a venue. And all you have or all you need is an outlet. You're bringing your speakers, you're bringing your tables or your controller, you're bringing your laptop, or you're bringing your albums by way of crates, physical albums, as you see over my right shoulder, your left albums. Records, 12 inches, 45s, whatever the case may be. Yes, they still make 45s. I have some 45s. I got a call from my man the other day, and he said, yo, when was the last time you saw a 45? I said, the other day. And I got the cartridge, and I'm going to show you. What up, Eldon? Shout out to my man. But listen, you're a mobile DJ, and the party's a little blah, right? The vibe is right. But you need to pick this thing up a little bit, right? You got a mixed crowd, and they ready to do something. They sipping something, right? Are you putting R. Kelly in your rotation? Are you spinning that Happy People? Are you bumping that Step in the Name of Love? I understand there are other songs to step to. There are other songs to play. But before we saw the docuseries, before we jumped in the court of public opinion, before we went into Me Too, I agree, and these things, and I want to be careful of what I say. because we all played a part in being an audience participant. We all were listening with the form of emotions and feelings before we learned about the allegations. But you're the DJ. You putting R. Kelly in your rotation? I'll wait. You know, some say that they separate the artist from the art, and they still listen to his music today. Are you one of those? If you're brave enough, I want the smoke, but y'all know what it is. I don't want no sauce. Comment down below. Do you still listen to R. Kelly? And if so, if you're proud to be honest about what you are going to answer with, can you tell us why? I want the sauce, no sauce. I want the smoke, no sauce. You with me? Again, I'm not going to force you, and I'm just podding. I'm just here to pod. But some say they separate the artist from the art. For example, Neo said, and I know Neo, he's been on one lately. Oh, Neo, come on back with us, man. Come on back with us. But for example, Neo said, I've always been a person that can separate the artist from the art. Anderson .Paak once joked that he would play R. Kelly if the crowd didn't move or the crowd wasn't moving. Another DJ said that people dance to songs, as I mentioned earlier, that evoke emotions and memories. So I'm putting you guys in a hot seat. Are you putting R. Kelly in your rotation? Or are you still listening to him in the privacy of your own home? In the privacy of your POV, your personally owned vehicle? Are you listening to him in your smartphone by way of your music download, purchase, or jacked? You know y'all still be jacking music out there. There's workarounds to almost anything nowadays. But you're in a hot seat. Are you bumping R? Are you playing him? I want to know because there are some songs that are event appropriate. There are some songs, and I used to do this as a mobile DJ. I would put in a Macarena clause to my clients. A Macarena clause is pretty much a clause that says you are not allowed to play this. And I'll be honest with you. R. Kelly was one artist that some of my clients said, we don't want to hear any of this. And this is before the allegations dropped. This is before the 6-part docuseries, Surviving R. Kelly. This is before that. It's funny. It just came back to my memory that some of my clients was like, don't play this. Don't play any R. Kelly, nothing. Right? So, and for reasons I won't mention, but he was one that kind of popped up in that Macarena clause. And Macarena clause is pretty much, I'll say it again, for the cheap seats, don't play this. You know how annoying the Macarena was? Macarena clause. I may lose some of you on this next topic. Some of you may know. But I said it before and I'll say it again. We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. How do we come? I know some of you may ask, hey, yo, Don, why you say that so much? Because I look, and the eyeball test tells me that most people, we got to start using the correct terms now, most humans are overly obsessed with their phones, specifically social media. And the mind is spinning to the point of where you've lost human interaction. And now you're a slave to social media. Hate to use that term. But you're addicted to social media. What do I mean? As you fell asleep last night, not went to sleep. There's a difference. But as you fell asleep last night, you went to sleep by way of repetitive algorithms that were fed to you as you fell asleep. I don't know if you were truly able to get a good night's rest, but the last thing on your mind was 12 different things, maybe even 20. Some of you 40, some of you 80, some of you hundreds. Okay. Y'all don't believe me. Watch this. Hey Siri, show me my screen time. I messed y'all up, didn't I? Your phones just went bananas. And for those of you that are listening to me on the large screens, and you probably got me piping through your surround sounds, your mobile devices probably just went bananas. Or hey Alexa, hey Google, right? That AI generates a command. But if you guys were smart, you'd turn that thing off. Or at least give yourself enough time to rest at night. Put the phone down, please. Because you know what happens? Your mind goes through this craving of what was the last thing that I witnessed. So guess what? You fall asleep with all of this running through your head, right? And then what happens? You got it. That's it. You wake up with the same craving. So rather than you meditating, praying, eating breakfast, God forbid you got to wake up and cook it or fix breakfast. No, we're quick to get on that device and Uber eat something or hit a drive-through for some fast food. You guys are picking up your phone saying, hey, where did I leave off? In the morning. You haven't even gotten up and brushed your teeth or hit the rain locker, a.k.a. the shower. You've gotten on that smart device so it can help you become smarter. Now, I'm not being a hypocrite here. I am strict when it comes to how much screen time I give myself. As a matter of fact, let me pause here and just tell you for a second. My numbers are probably low because I don't get on social media and promote as hard as the next person would, right? I'm just a little different. I come from a different era where things worked, right? It was fail fast, right? If you was whack, you was whack. And you just had to go and up your game or step your game up, right? But some of these false narratives on social media are ridiculous, right? I do plan on making a pivot. At some point, we almost become subjective to the algorithms of the world, the socials, to be competitive in a certain market. I mean, it's the smart thing to do. It's like sink or swim, right? But because of so much screen time, most shareholders and most investors are going based off what the algorithms and the metrics and the screen times are telling us. How do we market to certain individuals? I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to get too far. But in speaking, right, with AI and graphic controls and social medias and streaming platforms and all things related to smartphone and socials, I want to kick something to y'all real quick. Not sure if you was aware of it, or if you knew about it. But I want to talk to you guys a little bit about NPC, as in non-player character. You know, based on video game lifestyles. And that's almost an oxymoron, right? Video game lifestyles. Video games are fake, right? Second word, video game. They're games. They're not real life. Video games based lifestyles. Lifestyle. Video games. Yes, it's a way of life. Some people make an honest living by playing video games. Yes. But I want to hone into NPCs for a second. And for those that don't know, I'll say it again. Non-player characters. For the old heads out there, right? Let's take Donkey Kong, for example. And I hope I don't jack this up. But in Donkey Kong, I don't know if you guys know, but that was Mario's first appearance in a video game. He was the guy running around in Donkey Kong, right? He had another name, but it later changed to Mario. Yes, I was a Atari head. I was a ColecoVision head. I was Commodore 64. I was old school with mine. Proud of it. Yes, sir. But let's take Donkey Kong, for example. And I'm trying to relate to you guys and get you to understand what NPC is. In the video game Donkey Kong, for those that can remember, a non-player character, you remember you had almost two active characters in the game. It was the gorilla. It was the gorilla, all right, that was up top beating and throwing the barrels down the construction site. And you had Mario, who was trying to get up the ladder, jump over the flames. He was throwing flames. He can go get a little hammer and break them down, all of those, right? Those were active characters in the game. But Mario, I can't remember what the character's name was back then. It later changed to Mario. But Mario, for the sake of narrative, right? Mario was trying to get up this ladder and construction site. But there was a princess sitting up at the top, right? You couldn't play her, but she was in the video game. But she played a vital role. That's an NPC, and I hope I gave a good example. Okay, for you older heads out there, I mean, my audience is broad, right? For you new guys, we can talk Call of Duty, we can talk Grand Theft Auto, we can talk some of these other games, but let's just help the old school cats connect for a second. For the Pac-Man guys, you had Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, they walked around, waka, 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 waka. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Don't laugh at me. But then you had the Ghost, right? The ghosts were kind of non-player characters because you couldn't control them. Or let's say they had an objective, and that was to attack the Pac-Man, right? So let's just say they had an active role. Just for the sake of narrative, don't kill me in the comments, but if you have a better way of explaining this, comment down below. Gotcha, didn't I? You remember the cherry or the fruit that you had to eat? Well, let's call that a non-player character, okay? I hope you guys get the point that I'm making. But I want to talk about some of these socials and what today or modern social media has come to. TikTok. First of all, adults, sit down. Attention, all adults. Let's leave some things for the kids, please. I want to say that Musically and TikTok were originally created. Vine, a lot of these things were created for kids, and then here y'all come meddling. As my grandma used to say, here y'all come meddling. You guys were meddling in the kids' lane, and now this is another marketable tool that your boy old Don, old Rick James, may have to get on to promote the podcast. I don't like mixing with children in these cyberspaces, in these social spaces. It irritates the hell out of me because I don't want us two to interact and be on the same wavelength. Yes, it is a new day. I'm not old school. I'm not old fashioned. Please believe. If you knew me, if you know me, you know, right? I'm not afraid to dabble in that because there's a way to do things, right? I like going by the way to do things, not just conforming left, right, left, but I know what it is to interact with young children. It's off limits. It's a no-no. It's not something I desire. Matter of fact, sidebar, just to let you know who I am. I was watching the movie Project X. I thought the movie was fire until a certain scene where I saw young teenagers doing the nasty in public, and I'm talking about actually exposing themselves, and I was like, oh, I'm out. Got up and left up out the movie theater. It wasn't for me. There's another show, Euphoria, right? Heard the hype, started watching it. Didn't even get 5 minutes into it, and I'm like, this ain't for me. Kids, can't do that. And for those out there that doing it, shame on you. Don't even rock with me if you into that. Speaking of the R. Kelly deal, like, that's a huge no-no for me. But at some point, we're talking about the art versus the artist. Now, back to this NPC things. I just had to get that disclaimer out there for those that know. TikTok, right? Let the kids have it. Right, freaking adults got their hand on TikTok, and yet again, another marketing way that I may have to get in and go just to market my joint. Y'all know where I'm going with this. But I want to talk about an individual that you guys may have heard of Her name is Pinkydoll. Pinkydoll is a TikTok creator that advertised herself as, she originally advertised herself as 19, but this chick is actually 27 years old, right? And is a digital sensation as a live human NPC streamer. Hope I didn't lose anyone, but Pinkydoll is a TikTok creator. She's 27 years old. And I learned about this individual through my twins, which is pretty much age appropriate for them to go, this is whack, this is hot, this is not. But yet they shared it with me, and I'm like, what am I watching? Dad, she's an NPC. You got to see, you know, the video game characters that sit around and just bump their heads and do stuff in the background. I remember my son, we used to play NBA 2K together. He would be like, Dad, watch the dude get up and go to the restroom. And we watched that, and I was like, yo, this is hilarious. So we both are literally just looking at the background interactions. And there was a cat that literally got up out of his seat, went to the aisle, went up, came back down, sat down, got up, did the same thing. I mean, you want human interaction, or you want to give as much of human likeness to be believable in the storyline of the video game. But this was actually sports. And when he showed me that, we often laughed about it. We still laugh about it to this day. What up, Savi? But nonetheless, right? This chick has created her own human version while live streaming as an NPC streamer. Basically, how does it work? Well, you know how you go live and you can click the like button and it'll show that you liked, or if you click the love button, it'll show that you love. I don't know if there's any hate icons. I sound like the old head here, but I'm not afraid. I'm not old, I'm old school. But nonetheless, I'll say it like this. When she goes live, there's certain tiers of things that you can pay for that she'll do, right? So imagine her becoming a robot, or somewhat a programmable entity for what you ask her to do. However, you can ask all day long. Oh, the money talks. So there's certain tiers of what you can ask her to do, and it costs money. For example, if you want her to say, hi, I'm giving examples, right? It's $1. If you want her to say hi in your name, it's $20. If you want her to dance, it's maybe $100. I'm giving examples, but there are tier levels from what I understand. And when I did my research, there are tier levels for what you ask her to do. You pay via your digital payment, and then she does it. Real talk. You guys have to Google it to see it. But let me just share something with you. And bottom line on the payment thing, if you pay, she does it. Now, this is probably via an OnlyFans, or it could just be strictly TikTok live streaming. I ain't into the OnlyFans thing. I'm not sure what she does. That's a world of its own, and I'm staying out of it, okay? This is my choice, okay? Call me the old head. I do not mind. My name is Dante, and I do not mind taking ownership for being the old head, right? But let me just tell y'all how much this young lady is making. She makes anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 per stream, or per program. She makes anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 per program. This young lady can go online for about 5 or 10 minutes and probably make about 30 to 50 grand. And if she really puts her heart and soul into it, she could probably make about anywhere from 50 to maybe 100 grand in a day or two. And this is what keeps shareholders afloat and breaking our backs as we punch in the clock, because they see what type of market it is for us to compete in, right? This is why we are going to work every day trying to make an honest living, when all we got to do is go online, advertise ourselves as an NPC. We're going to look totally foolish probably in doing so. But have times come to this, is where I'm going, where we just say, hey, forget the creative piece. I'm just going to go on as an NPC, and I'm just going to make my money that way. Also, on the same breath of this young lady, and if I didn't say it before, I'm sorry. Her name is Pinkydoll. Pinkydoll, as in Pinky Doll, right? So she was the recipient at a Streamy Awards. And when she went up to get her awards, everyone was shocked as if the winner did not come get her award. Who is this person coming up to receive this award? Because she appeared to be different. She looked different than what she does online. And I don't want to imitate some of the things she do, because I don't mind putting myself out there, but it's quite silly. You can almost say it's cute, but it's silly at the same time. The reason I say it's cute, because them dollars look a little different. I ain't gonna hold you, but them dollars look a little different. But anyway, it's subjective, right? Go out and see it for yourself. But them dollars, I ain't gonna hold you. Them dollars look a little different. But when she went up to receive her award, her hue and her complexion was slightly different than what it was online, right? The current clapback from this is this young lady, as well as many others on social platforms. Now, we've heard of catfishing, right? Which has become a new lifestyle. It's become normalcy. People are catfishing by the minute now. You remember the hit TV show that's still going on today? You remember Neve and the other guy? I think they have a young lady on right now with Neve, but catfish. Well, they're saying, or sources have stated, or even questioned her about her ability to do this for light-skin-phishing. Trigger warning, I am going into the subject matter of colorism. We'll do a deeper dive at another day about colorism. If you look over my right shoulder, you'll see that I've done movie themes today, including my t-shirt, right? But you'll see School Days far back, right? For those that know, we'll do a deeper dive on colorism another day, right? But they're saying this girl's light-skin-phishing, which means that online she's changing her hue and her complexion. And there's probably only one way to do that, and that's in post-editing, where she can change her complexion by way of apps or add-ons or some type of overlay to make her appear lighter than what she typically is. I don't want to get into that whole colorism thing right now. I want to set it up so we can do a deeper dive at another pod. But I do want to say that it made people feel a certain way. And you know, the internet, not internet, the internet got us to a point right now where catfishing, light-skin-phishing, and all things, and ladies, I'm getting ready to step over the line here for a second, so I'm gonna dip my toe in and I'm coming right back out. But I was shown the other day, because I did not know this was a thing. I actually thought it was a myth. Like, I didn't think people actually had the audacity to go out and change their skin tone or their hue or their complexion, their contrast for likes. I couldn't believe it. But it's got people feeling tight that this is part of her money-making scheme. Look, I wanted to keep it light today due to the fact that we've had some hard pods over the last couple of episodes. But I have to forewarn you that in the future, we will talk about necessary things. We will drop necessary content here on the heDONizm podcast. As always, you guys know we're in the court, or we're in the cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. If I said something today that possibly offended you, or if I dropped something out of line, don't hold me to it. You guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. Until we meet again, guys, God bless.